Welcome everyone, welcome to Love's Messages. My name is Janet. I created this channel to support humanity through this ascension process that we're in. That is, planet Earth is in the process of going from a third dimensional planet to a fifth dimensional planet. We're in the very, very early stages of the fourth dimension, fourth density. I don't know what the difference is between those two words, but anyway, we're in the lower suboctaves of the fourth density, which is essentially love. The fourth density is a planet that is essentially guided by love and unity, as opposed to what we've been experiencing so far on planet Earth, which is duality and separation. And the fruits of what that has created is the world that we're living in. So previously I've been talking about how our beliefs create our reality, but most people don't know really, how to really change anything. So these are advanced creation principles, and I'm going to just jump into it because I think humanity is ready for these teachings, and I'm excited to teach these teachings. And so I've been very informed by the Course in Miracles, and more recently the Way of Mastery, which are just the most beautiful teachings from the Christ mind. And they have been specifically brought through for this time of transformation, this shift in consciousness that humanity is going through. And we're really being asked to embody Christ consciousness. So what I want to talk about today is how creation really works. One of the aspects of how creation works. So I want you to think about your consciousness, and this is an analogy from the Way of Mastery. I want you to think about your consciousness as a still pond. It's completely neutral. It's completely peaceful. It's completely still. It's a pond that is just like glass, and every thought we think is like a pebble. Just imagine that every thought a thought is a pebble that is dropped into that pond, and that thought creates a ripple, and that ripple goes out to the shores of manifest reality and comes back as a similar experience. So if you have a negative thought, say for instance you have a thought, you've made a mistake, and you have a thought, I'm so stupid. You're dropping a pebble in the pond that has a certain ripple, which is a certain frequency, which is going to create something similar. So we live in a reflective universe. The universe there's no God up there that's giving some people the goodies and other people aren't getting the goodies. Other people are getting these horrible experiences. We are all creating our reality. This is the fundamental teaching, is that we are actually creating everything we experience. And that's a hard pill for a lot of us to swallow. But this is how it happens. So if you're thinking positive thoughts, you're basically signaling to the universe, yeah, I want positive experiences. If you're thinking negative thoughts, you're basically telling the universe, I want negative experiences. So a negative thought there could be a million different negative experiences coming back to you, and it's just, it occurs very random. So I want to give you the example of when I was in my early 20s. I developed a very severe binge eating disorder when I was a teenager, and it was getting worse and worse and worse every year that went on. And when I was in my early 20s, my life was a disaster. I was just going from one unbelievably horrendous experience in every area of my life. My job, my boss was just picking on me relentlessly, torturing me, my relationships were a mess. My living situation was a mess. were just the most, I just went from one unbelievably bizarre situation to another, seemingly random, seemingly, I'm just being picked on here. But what I was doing was, because of my eating disorder, I had so much self-hatred. Every time I binged, I just, my self-loathing was just going up, exponentially. And so it was actually feeding the disorder. So my negative thoughts and my self-loathing, my self-hatred was not only feeding the eating disorder, but it was the pebbles I was dropping in my pond, very, very negative frequency. So those pebbles they were going out to the shores of manifest reality, and I was basically telling the universe, yeah, I want more. I want more things that are going to basically vibrate on that same on that same frequency of self-loathing and self-hatred. And so that's a kind of an extreme example, but it's a good example, because a lot of times people, it seems like just random things are happening and bad things are happening to seemingly good people, and they don't know why. I mean, I wasn't a bad person. I was a good person. I was trying to be good. I was trying to do good things, but I I didn't obviously know how creation works, and so I got caught in this cycle. And we come in with negative beliefs. It's not just, we come in sometimes with negative beliefs about ourselves from other incarnations. We're born into I've said this in other videos, that we actually choose our birthplace, our families, and things like that. So it's not just, even if you think back, well, my parents were, they were wonderful parents and things like that. That could be all true, but we come in with things that we're already working out. Now, that's not to say that sometimes our higher self, our multidimensional self, like I said, we're a multidimensional being having a very, very brief incarnation here. It's not to say that sometimes we may, if we're very off course in our life, we may have decided to, have a certain experience, and that may be, there are some predestined experiences, but by and large, we are actually creating our reality by the thoughts we think. So, how do you change this? So the way you change it is by not judging what you've created. So whatever situation you're in, maybe you're in a situation where you don't have as much money as you like, you don't have the relationship you would like, you don't have the job that you would like, and so you have to understand that you've created that. You've used the power of your creativity, the power of your thoughts to drop pebbles in the pond. And so you've created the circumstance that you're in. And so, first of all, the big leap is to accept what you've created. So say, for example, if you've been on a really bad binge, eating, drinking, and you feel horrible, maybe you've gained 10 pounds, 20 pounds, 100 pounds, you need to accept that you've used the power of your creativity to create that. You have to celebrate that. You have to, like, wow, am I ever powerful? I obviously, you don't have to like it, but you have to accept it. And I'm going to suggest that if you really want to change the direction of your life, you have to actually embrace it. So I unknowingly did this many years ago. I was already a student. I've been a student for A Course in Miracles for many years. Many years ago, I was starting to unwind my mind, and I still had an eating disorder. I mean, I had made some progress with it, but I still was occasionally binging. And the effects of that were on my body were just horrendous, so to the point where, I wouldn't be able to sleep all night. Like I would just be laying awake for hours with my heart pounding, like a total sugar, high, but my body was really in bad shape. So the way I had always dealt with that in the past was to be angry at myself, be frustrated, angry at life, hate myself, self-punishing thoughts, which obviously don't help. But I unknowingly tapped into this, the power of this creation, and I had the inspiration. I think it must have come from a higher source. I had the inspiration that one night when I was laying awake, my heart was pounding. I felt horrible. I felt like I was going to die from binging on something. I can't, and I thought to myself, I'm going to send love to myself. I'm not going to beat myself up. I'm going to send even more love to myself. I'm going to love myself even more because I did this. And so I just laid there. I sent love to myself. I had been kind of practicing self-love, so I just, wasn't good at it. I mean, this is something that takes a while, but I knew that this was the way to deal with it. I knew that the way I had been dealing with it wasn't the way it was working. So every time I binged, I used it as an opportunity to love myself even more. And it was so counterintuitive. It was like everything in my body, my ego was like screaming at me, you effing idiot. Like, what are you, no, you're bad. You need to punish yourself for this. And I'm like, no, I just canceled out all those ideas and I just chose to love myself instead and send love to myself for as long as, until I fell asleep, and then, and that is how I actually broke it. That's how I dissolved completely my eating disorder. And so going back to how creation works, so what I was doing was, instead of dropping the pebbles in my pond that would have created a certain ripple that would have said, okay, you want more binging, you want more bad experiences. I sent the message to the universe. I actually want love. I want peace. I want a healthy body. I want love. I want good things. So that was a much higher vibration. And it was a game changer. So that's just an example of how this can work. So whatever circumstance you're in, whatever you have used the power of your infinite creativity to create, I want you to consider seeing that you are a powerful creator, and that everything that you've thought, maybe for years, for generations, or not generations, but lifetimes, incarnations, that this is what you've created. And by accepting it and actually embracing it, and even maybe celebrating the fact that you have created it. Now, this might be tricky if you're living in your car and it's freezing, you have no money, you have no food. I'm sure it's not easy. I lost power over the weekend. It was terrible. It was cold. It was, very hard to sometimes accept. But I could, even then, I won't go into. I could see how this was also something that I created actually for my benefit, and and I can see how good things are going to come from it. I want you to consider that this is how you become a powerful creator. This is how you can take control of your destiny. Just be aware, every thought you think is creating something. It's creating a ripple. Every thought is a pebble that you're dropping into your pond, and it's creating something. And you want to make sure that you're not miscreating, that you're actually creating something that you want and that's going to be good for humanity. This is how we're going to create the new earth. This is one of the ways, a very, very important way. I really want you to consider that everything that you see in the world is a result of all of the thoughts that we have thought collectively up until now. And in order to change the world, we can't hate the world. We can't fight the world. We have to accept that we have created it. We have to accept that we have collectively, even if you don't think you have created it, if you have had even one self-recriminating thought, one negative thought towards yourself, that would be a thought of war instead of peace within yourself. We create war on the outside. So if you want peace on the outside, if you want to live in a loving world where everyone is happy, where we come together as a humanity, we start to sing and dance and laugh together and truly celebrate what it is to be human. Children, are playing again, they're laughing again. If you want to live in a world like that, start to be very, very, very aware of the thoughts you're thinking and choose a more loving thought. Choose a more accepting thought. Choose a more peaceful thought. And join me in creating an earth that we can be really, really, really proud of, where there is no starvation any longer, there is no poverty, and there is abundance for all. And this is what we're doing. So I'm excited that you're here. I want to invite you to be on this journey with me. Feel free to give this video a like if you like it, so that more people can find it. Subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be creating many more videos. I love you dearly, and I'm truly excited to share these teachings, and I really want this to be a place where you can find support. So thanks for joining me, and I will see you in the next video, and bye for now. Be love.